Novo Nordisk, right? Which means New North, the New North. Their symbol is Apis, which is a deity from Kemet, but also Greek mythology. And this Greek mythological person was responsible for utilizing snakes on the people.
Wow.
So a lot of these companies are using snake venom and the venoms of other animals. That's actually the new hustle. The new hustle is mad dashing for toxic animals with venoms and taking the venoms and synthesizing the venoms and using them in all of these medications.
On that same standpoint, right, in the Bible, you got Moses, right, when God had snakes coming from the sky and they were biting people, and he had to put it on a stick, on a pole.
That's what's going on. We're in it right now.
Wow.
We're in it right now. And if you notice with the caduceus, it's two intertwining because it's a positive and it's a negative side. It's all how you use it. You know, Novo Nordisk is taking all the money that they've made, and guess what they're investing in?
What?
An AI supercomputer. Because the new science is in silico. You had in vitro and in vivo, right? In vitro is when outside the body, set in the petri. In vivo's in the body, right? In silico, what do you think that is? The computer.
That? Yeah.
So with AI, you can input the protein dynamics of a receptor, right? And all that type of stuff. And the AI will
recreate that process.
The medication.
Yeah, I see.
The molecule. This is the molecule. The hydrogen needs to go here. The nitrogen needs to go here. You need to rotate it.
And they're already 10 steps ahead right now. Wow.
They're using the computer to make their medications for everybody now. And they're studying the snake to do it. Because, you know.
Studying nature to replicate and do that through AI.
That's who gave Eve the apple in the first place.
Yeah, it always goes back to the serpent.
Yeah.
The serpent is always a very integral figure, man.
Gotta tempt us, man, you know, and between snake venom and Apple computers.
Good people, what's up, what's good, man? Today we got another special and great episode for you guys. I'm blessed to be your host, Caleb Smith. We have our resident scientist, resident health expert, resident person that's already tapped into the soil. And every single time, man, when we get that text, it's like the Batman signal. It's time to come out, create some dope content, man. KT, hey, I appreciate you again for pulling up once more, bro.
Oh, man, you know I got to come back through.
Yes, sir.
It's that season.
Hey, always humbled by that too, man. Bro, the topic, man, when you sent that text, I was like, yo, that's so timely. Ozempic. Earlier, before we started filming, you said it should be OH.
Yeah,
right?
with an exclamation point
Man,
after.
scrolling on Instagram, and I already know every other person who's tapped in, who's watching, every single time, if, like, you could be scrolling, you could see a model, you could see a friend, anybody. And it's like, yo, how did they lose
all
50,
that
60
weight.
pounds? I didn't see them on this great fitness journey, going to the gym. I didn't see them eating right. Or I could be living in the same neighborhood as this person, and I already know how you eat, how you live, and you dropping 50, 60 pounds.
Just like nothing.
Ozempic is taking over. We've seen documentaries on Hulu come out about it. Allegedly, Oprah with Weight Watchers
spokesperson
had to get dropped because allegedly she's been on the Ozempic, right? Ozempic, man. Why do you think that this product has so many people in a chokehold right now in this microwave society?
Well, it's multifaceted, you know. So before we even get in that, we got to talk about, like, what is Ozempic?
That's right.
Because you know, I've brought it up to a couple people and they don't even know what it is. They've heard the term, but they don't know what it is.
Right.
So Ozempic is a brand name for a certain classification of drug, and the name of that drug is GLP-1 agonist.
Yep.
So the GLP stands for glucagon-like peptide 1, and then agonist is like if I walk in a room and it's dark, right, and I need to see, what do I do?
You're gonna use some light.
Right.
Use a flashlight.
So
turn the light.
Hit the switch.
Yeah,
right.
That's right.
So an agonist is a switch that switches things on. An antagonist is something that switches things off. So it's an agonist. So it's a GLP-1 agonist. Now, what is GLP-1? Glucagon-like peptide. So to understand glucagon, we got to understand diabetes. Because diabetes is a situation that people deal with where their sugar levels are abnormally high. You got hyperglycemia. And this is happening because normally sugar, when it enters into the blood, is supposed to go from the blood into the tissues, into the cell. We start to burn the sugar up. We use the sugar for all types of things, but this is only if it gets inside of the cell. If it doesn't get in the cell, it stays in the bloodstream. And if you got 100 degrees, because 98.6 is pretty much 100 degrees.
For sure.
And you got water and you got sugar, you got syrup. So you got a problem now, right? So normally your pancreas secretes something called insulin.
Yep.
And the insulin is a signal that tells the tissues, yo, open up, let it in. Diabetes is a situation where either the source where the insulin is coming from is not as much insulin as before because the source of it has gotten compromised, or the destination, the receptors on the cells got compromised. So there's a whole lot of signal, but it's just not receiving it. Right. Either way, you got a bunch of sugar in the blood. All right. Now, what ends up happening when there's leftover sugar in the blood, let's say insulin does let sugar in and there's still sugar in the blood, your body needs to store it for later because we ain't always eating.
That's right.
Right. So maybe we're doing something later on. We're not eating and we need sugar. We store it for later. And the stored form of that sugar is called glycogen. All right. Glycogen. This is just like fruits. What happens if you eat a banana or apple too early? Let's say you eat a green banana. What it tastes like?
It's a little sour. Tastes
chalky,
weird. Not ripe yet.
Because it's starch. That's the stored form of sugar. So with additional sunlight and additional water, that breaks that starch down to sugar. And you see it through the black spots on the banana. Now you eat it and it's sweet. So just like that in our body, that happens. The glycogen gets converted back into glucose by something called glucagon. So in the pancreas, we have the islets of Langerhans. That's these little islands. And there's 3 different types of specialized cells that secrete hormones. You got the alpha cell, the beta cell, and the delta cell, right? The alpha and the beta, alpha is glucagon, beta is insulin, delta is something called somatostatin. So alpha glucagon, that's to raise blood sugar, insulin, low blood sugar, somatostatin, balance those two so they don't get out of whack. So when you look at GLP-1, you see that word glucagon. So it's a glucagon-like peptide. So what they're doing is they're using this molecule in order to plug into areas of the body to increase the release of insulin so blood sugar levels drop. So essentially, the medication is actually for diabetes and weight loss is a byproduct of that.
Yes. And man, KT, just from reading, watching videos, right? GLP-1, I believe, right? Why is that so important? Because, I read that Ozempic, it can like mimic that, right? Why is that so important, GLP-1?
So that's very good. So humans, us, we make GLP-1 and it's an agonist. So the agonist, it being a switch, it's not GLP-1 that we're taking. What we're taking is what you would call an analog or a molecule that is very similar to it. So in order to get an understanding of GLP-1 from Ozempic, we need to get an understanding of the source. Do you know the source of GLP-1? Do you know where Novo, Nordisk, and the rest of these people actually got the GLP-1 from?
Where'd they get it from?
You ever heard of a Gila monster?
No. What's that?
Okay. So in the southwest states of this country, in the desert and in Mexico, is the largest land lizard.
Oh, wow.
Called a Gila monster.
Okay.
They're black with like orange and pink bumps all over it. And what makes it so unique is that it has venom in its saliva.
Wow.
Now, it could be the size a little bit bigger than this water bottle, right? But it can consume food 50% of its weight.
Wow.
So if it's about 12 pounds, it could eat a 6-pound meal.
Wow.
But it only eats maybe 4 times a year, though.
What?
It don't eat often.
Wow.
And it hibernates. Inside the venom of this toxic lizard lies a molecule called exendin-4, which is a GLP-1 agonist.
Break it down. Wow. Wow.
So they actually siphoned the venom from a toxic lizard to be an analog for GLP-1 in our body.
This is crazy.
That's what they did. They took it from a lizard. Now, after they siphoned it from this lizard, now why would they want this particular GLP-1 and not ours? Well, we have something called half-life, right? With chemicals. And it's kind of like if you think of people who take ayahuasca, ayahuasca is a mixture of different plants because if they just take one plant, we have molecules inside of us, enzymes inside of us, MAOs that will break down the DMT and we can't get the experience from it. So we take MAO inhibitors and that prolongs the life of the DMT inside the body, right? Same thing with other molecules inside of our body too. They last a certain amount of time. So our GLP-1, which is naturally secreted in our intestines, right, only lasts just under 2 minutes. 2 minutes. So we eat food, goes through our stomach. Let me back up just so people can understand digestion real quick. So digestion starts before you even eat. Because if somebody says your favorite meal, you visualize it, your mouth start watering.
That's deep.
Right?
You start craving it.
You start craving it, right?
That's
All
right.
of this is happening in your head.
Jeez,
your
that's
hypothalamus, your brain stem, certain parts of your brain starts getting everything going. You start to salivate, right?
Wow.
Okay, so you chew your food, you masticate. That's grinding the food to increase surface area so that the saliva has enzymes in it that can touch all parts of the food. If you look at an apple, it's all closed in, but when you chew it up, you open the apple up and everything's exposed. So now the enzymes in your saliva can now interact with all the parts of the apple. Now you have a ball of saliva and enzymes and the masticated food. That's called a bolus.
Wow.
Gets to the back of the throat. You swallow peristalsis down the esophagus. Okay. When you choke, it's because you got a flap over your trachea, your windpipe called the epiglottis. This prevents food from going in. This is why your parents was like, don't talk when you eat. Because when you talk, the epiglottis pops up, food can go in, you start choking.
Wow.
So it goes down the esophagus. Peristalsis is a wave-like motion. As it goes down through this wave-like motion, it courses through the cardiac sphincter. It's called the cardiac sphincter because your stomach is not down here. It's up here by the heart. This is why when you get indigestion,
Heartburn.
They call it heartburn.
Yeah.
Right?
Old commercial, heartburn,
because
indigestion.
it's the gastric juices of the stomach backpedaling through the cardiac sphincter back into the esophagus.
Jeez. Wow.
Right? And the esophagus is lined with a mucus lining to prevent the surface of your esophagus from getting damaged by any reason, but that acid coming back in can, and that's what you feel, right? So it goes to the cardiac sphincter, goes in the stomach. The stomach has muscles that go up and down, left and right, and like diagonal. So it's kind of like how old school mama used to do the laundry with the, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
She'd rub it on the thing and squeeze it this way and turn. You doing that, and you mix in hydrochloric acid, which got like an acidity of a 2, gastric juices, pepsin. Pepsin is the reason why Pepsi's called Pepsi.
Just about to ask you that. We're on the same wave.
Yeah, because if you look at the Pepsi logo, the Pepsi logo is 2 colors. Red and blue, and the negative space, that little white strip, that's the stomach.
Wow.
If you look at it again, look, that's a stomach. Wow. And the red and blue stands for acid and alkaline.
Break it down. Wow.
Right? So pepsin is a product that's also produced inside the stomach in a form called pepsinogen. And then through the acidity of the stomach, it activates it into pepsin. So you got all these juices in there. This is like fabric softener, bleach, laundry. You know, mama puts a bunch of stuff in the laundry to clean it.
To make
you know
it smell
what I'm saying?
Good. Yeah.
So now, once the food gets mixed with all these juices, now it's opened up more. It goes to the pyloric sphincter, and now it enters into the small intestines. Small intestines is broken up into 3 parts. You got the duodenum, you got the jejunum, and then you got the ileum. Each part does something different. But initially what happens as all this food starts emptying into the intestines, you are spraying it with alkaline enzymes and juices to alkalize everything because it just came from an acid environment.
Right.
And then also molecules that are getting secreted to break proteins down to amino acids, break fats down into lipids and fatty acids, and break starches and sugars down into more simple sugars and carbohydrates. This is due to the liver, the gallbladder, and the pancreas. They all combine at the common bile duct and they empty into the small intestines, and now you're breaking all of this stuff down.
Wow.
Then it moves through the jejunum and it moves through the ileum, and then it goes through another opening called the ileocecal valve into the large intestines. So now you're in the large intestines, and then you go ascending colon, transverse colon, descending colon, sigmoid colon, rectum, anus, toilet bowl.
Yep, outside. That's it.
Now you see that process food just had to go through?
Wow.
GLP-1 doesn't get introduced until that food enters into the small intestines. And it's a little bit increased through each section. The duodenum is a little bit. The jejunum, there's even more. The ileum is where there's a lot. But like I told you, it's a 2-minute half-life.
Wow.
Right? So it doesn't last long. And what is it there for? It's there to create a sensation called satiation, which is being satisfied. So it shuts down wanting to eat more because, you know, you got a kid, they just ate their food. They just swallowed. They bodied it like Pac-Man. They're like, I want more. And usually a parent would be like, just let it go down.
Yeah. Wow.
And 5 minutes later, they like, okay, I'm good.
Start to get the itis a little
That's
bit.
GLP-1 doing all of that, right? Now, let's go back to Exendin 4. Exendin 4 half-life is 2 hours.
Wow.
So we went from 2 minutes, just under 120 seconds, to 120 minutes. That's a huge difference in time,
for sure.
right? So then on top of that, Novo Nordisk decided to extend it longer. And they came up with something right before Ozempic. I think it's called liraglutide. This one is semaglutide, and before it was like liraglutide. The one before Ozempic was daily. So it would last a day.
Wow.
So you would have to take the shot once a day.
Jeez.
Right? Then they figured out how to turn it weekly. So now it's once a week indefinitely. And how they did this is they took the molecule and they added fatty acids on there. And the fatty acids is what prevents the enzymes from being able to break it down.
Wow.
The enzyme in question is called DPP4, dipeptidyl peptidase, which is it's an enzyme that breaks down the GLP-1 within those 2 minutes. So if you inhibit DPP4, then it's going to last longer.
Wow.
So they figured out a way to prevent the enzymes from attacking it, and they were able to slow it down to a point of like 160 plus hours, which is equated to like a week's time.
Sheesh. Wow. That was some great information right there. I love this. I love this. So time, right?
Okay.
Our society, KT, everybody's trying to cut out like the actual work, the process, if you will, right? Shortcuts. That's it, right? So whether it's, we were talking about it earlier, BBL Drizzy with Drake sometimes. So people try to get fake abs or, like I ain't going to the gym.
Man,
I ain't working. I'm going to do that. Ozempic, do you feel like that this is it's like perfect climate to actually take form? Because right now everybody's trying to do a shortcut. Nobody wants to go to the gym. Nobody wants to eat right.
Well, it would be if it didn't come with issues and problems.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So, of course we're in a microwave time where everybody wants to get something done faster. Yet we can all relate that the greatest moments in life that we experience are when we take our time to experience it.
That's right.
Right? There's no getting around hard, diligent work at all. Every shortcut you take is going to always come with a cost. If you skip paying now, you're going to pay later.
Wow.
So you might as well just pay now. Like I've learned that about money. We hold on to cash.
Yeah.
But money's called currency.
Yes. So it has to keep moving.
It has to. What happens when you just hold up current? You dam water up, you flood.
That's right.
Everything gets soaked. Everything gets destroyed. You having a fear of lack. So just spend it. Just splurge. It could be on good things. It could be on bad. It could be on whatever. Just get it out, because
have to get that fear out.
You can't ask for seconds if you ain't finished your first plate. Just let that thing go. So we have to work for it, and we're not working for it. So essentially, some of the side effects are just very, very bad.
Yeah.
And one of the main side effects that we have to deal with Ozempic is something called gastroparesis. Gastroparesis. This is a fancy way of saying paralysis of the stomach.
Wow.
Because, like I mentioned before, GLP-1 is responsible for appetite suppressant, right? It's suppressing your appetite. Part of suppressing your appetite is stopping the emptying of the stomach, because if you are allowing the stomach to do its thing, appetite is going to continue. But if you shut the stomach down, then you're not going to be hungry no more. So that's what GLP-1 does. But remember, it only has a 2-minute life, right? So in putting a GLP-1 agonist, meaning a molecule that's not GLP-1, it can just plug into the receptor. Okay. And let me give an analogy of that. You got somebody that lives in a condo. Only people that live there can park in the parking spots, right?
Yeah.
If you park in that parking spot and you don't live in that condo, you're getting towed away.
Facts.
It's going to the impound.
You don't
right?
belong. Yeah. Right.
Unless, you had a friend come over. They get a little pass, they can be in there.
For sure.
So a pass is an agonist. They're not necessarily the tenant of that condo, but they're associated with the tenant and they have a pass to sit in that spot.
Wow.
Right? If it's somebody else trying to come up in there, it's going to get towed away. It ain't even going to be able to fit in the spot before it gets impounded. Right? So these are agonists. These are just molecules that are able to manipulate the receptors to get these things going. But our receptor is very short. It's only 2 minutes. This one is a week long. So it's going to aggressively shut things down. And one of the things that it's going to do is shut the stomach down. Now you don't even got now you don't even have an appetite, or you don't even have the muscles
That's
or the
right.
processes to break the food down that's in there. So what a lot of people have been dealing with Ozempic is something called cyclic vomiting.
Ooh, yep, I've
They
seen
just
that.
been throwing up.
Yep.
Even the people who stopped years ago are still vomiting.
Wow.
Because it's affecting a very important nerve in the body. And even though you stop taking it, the remnants of it is still inside of the system.
Sheesh, man. Ozempic, big pharma, right, is big business. You know,
Yes.
we've seen this with oxycodone as well, where, you know, they start something and it just booms. In Denmark right now, Ozempic is like their number one cash cow, right?
Oh, yeah.
So just seeing that it has like that overall impact. Do you see this product going down, or do you see it just constantly just being like more profitable for them right now?
Oh, definitely more profitable. They don't even allow it in Denmark.
Yeah, I heard
Yeah,
that.
yeah. They don't allow it
Wow.
in Denmark. Their number one customer is the USA.
Yeah.
And that's because the USA obesity rate is about 50%. JP Morgan just did an analysis on the stock market for the next, I think, 10 years or something like that, showing the pretty much diagonal uprise of obesity as well as diabetes.
Yeah.
And we have to understand that this is not by any coincidence, because this diabetes explosion is a byproduct of COVID.
Sheesh.
Because that's where the explosion came from. I think worldwide we're at like 569 million people with diabetes worldwide. They said before 2050, we're looking at 1.3 billion. We're talking about 10% of the planet got diabetes. So if you're making a drug that has a particular customer, it would behoove you to create your customer.
You have to.
And who better than America, because the obesity is just out of control here. And people don't want to, work hard to lose their weight. And then you got people like Oprah saying that obesity is genetic and you can't do nothing about it.
Hey, we about to talk about that one next. Yeah. Hey, you on the perfect way.
You know
We about to talk on that next. Yes. So from, just being exposed to hospitals and, always hearing people say, oh, it's genetic, right? My family, I've had family members who had diabetes. My dad has diabetes, right? But then I'm like, all you got to do is change your lifestyle, eat right, and then potentially it can change, right?
That's right.
How do you feel about in this current medical system of people always saying, especially when it comes to us Black people, it's genetic when it comes to diabetes, which then leads to products like Ozempic?
Well, one of the greatest erroneous assumptions that we make as society when it comes to health is we keep focusing on the nuclear genome, which is the DNA that exists in the nucleus. And we ignore the mitochondrial DNA, which is responsible for our metabolism.
Right.
Way more important. It's only passed down through the woman, and the woman is who constantly gives birth to life, right? So we have to pay more attention to that DNA, not the nuclear DNA, because the nuclear DNA actually reacts to what's going on to the mitochondria. Okay? So however you're treating the mitochondria is going to determine how the nuclear genome expresses itself. How does the nuclear genome express itself? Real simple. It is pretty much a treasure trove of what you would call a protein data bank. Okay, all the enzymes, all the proteins, or what you would call semiconductor technology that exists in your body, all of the blueprints and the files to build those things are in the nuclear genome. But you don't know what enzyme, what protein, or whatever you need to make until your body knows what it's going through. And the only way your body knows what it's going through is based on the photosensor organelle we have, which is known as the mitochondria. So the mitochondria is responsible for sensing light, and one of the greatest molecules that we build based on sensing light is a molecule called POMC, pro-opiomelanocortin.
Mm-hmm.
This molecule is linked with our seasons. In the wintertime, when there's shorter light cycles, it's less POMC, it's less thyroid hormones. In the summertime, there's more POMC, there's longer light cycles, longer days, there's more thyroid hormones. So if we're getting less light, and you know I speak on this all the time when I come on the platform, we're getting less light, we're getting less light exposure, we got less POMC, we got less of the number one molecules that governs our metabolism, which is T3 and T4 from our thyroid gland. But T3 and T4 is only getting secreted based on the pituitary. The pituitary is only secreting it based on the hypothalamus, and the hypothalamus is only secreting it based on POMC. So it all goes back to the light again. So light stimulation is going to dictate this. And if we're not constantly programming our body properly with our light signals, then it's going to throw everything off. It's going to throw our hormones off, and then we're going to suffer. One of the main molecules that are responsible for our weight is a molecule called leptin. Leptin is secreted from our fat cells to let us know we're full. So when you have something called leptin resistance, then you don't know you full. You just going to keep pigging out, and you're going to keep eating, and not burning or utilizing any of it.
That's right.
And I'm not even talking about the fact that we ain't even eating real food, which is another problem.
Yeah.
So that's what I would have to say to that, is the fact that leptin and leptin resistance, the dropping of POMC, the malillumination of our environment, meaning bad lighting or no light at all of these are going to constitute to someone gaining excess adipose tissue. And we're talking about white adipose tissue, because there's brown and there's white. There's brown adipose tissue, which is saturated with mitochondria, which is very healthy. And you got white adipose tissue, which in excess becomes very detrimental to the body, resulting in an influx of estrogen production. You know how that affects the men.
Start growing the breast. There
we go.
Sheesh, man. Growing up, KT, you know, and I already know your generation as well, you will see those ads, right, where take this drug, and it's a person that's smiling, walking down the park, and then showing all these beautiful things, but then all the side effects is being played during that moment. It can lead to bleeding. You can die. You can have a heart attack.
They get the dude from the Micro Machines commercial. You remember him?
No.
You remember when I was little, there were these toys called Micro Machines. They were little, you know, Hot Wheels.
Yeah, for sure.
But they were small, and it was this short. He was bald head, kind of like Sherman Hemsley, like the Jefferson, and a mustache, and he talked real fast. He'd be like, you know what I mean? And in 30 seconds, he probably say like 5 pages worth of information in that commercial. So every time I hear them break down the sound effect, I'd be like, Micro Machine.
Trying to hurry up, just get all that stuff out, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm just like, yo, Ozempic has the same exact thing.
Yes.
One doctor I read, he had actually told, you know, his patients, take this product now before all the side effects become known. And it's wild now knowing, to your point, you can start vomiting, nausea, all these things. Another factor I saw, loose skin, right?
Oh, yeah.
How does that start to happen?
Okay, so you got Ozempic face and Ozempic butt, too.
Yes.
They got Ozempic butt.
Ozempic butt.
A lot of our sisters, they losing.
Oh, yeah. Listen, you got them BBLs for nothing.
It. So like I said, the GLP-1 was the FDA approved Ozempic for diabetes. Weight loss became a byproduct the same way that Viagra became a byproduct for the blood pressure situation,
I heard about that.
right?
Yeah, that's crazy.
So what was I gonna say? Let me get some water.
No, you good. It's the loose skin.
So in the weight loss, you lose anywhere between, they're saying 15 to 30% of your body weight.
Wow.
That's a lot.
It is. Yeah.
That's a lot
Yeah.
of weight. You know what I'm saying? That means if somebody is 100 pounds, you know what I mean? They'll be 70 pounds. You know what I'm saying? And you can use that percentage as you scale up.
That's right.
And I think that the highest, I think, is beyond that now. I think they got somebody who lost 35% or something like that.
Sheesh.
But this is what we're assuming. It's called a weight loss medication, right? Not a fat loss medication.
It's two different things.
Yes.
Wow.
So when you think weight loss, you automatically thinking, oh man, I'm about to lose all this fat.
That's
but
good.
No, 25% of the weight loss is muscle and bone.
Jeez. And bone, huh?
Muscle and bone.
Talking about two very important factors right there. Is they shaking his head? Yes.
So if you lost 50 pounds using this GLP-1 agonist, 25 of those pounds is muscle and bone.
Oof.
So that's structural integrity. Yep. That's calcium ions.
Yes.
That's all your health, because a lot of our health has to deal with our muscle tone. As we get older, muscle tone drops, and that's the issue that we have. Lymphatic system ain't working without muscle. You know what I'm saying? Our heart ain't nothing but muscle tissue.
Come on.
You know? So the saggy face and the saggy arms is coming from the fact that they're losing weight at a rapid rate, and they're losing not just the fat, but they're losing muscle and they're losing bone. So now they don't have the same scaffolding. They don't have the same template, you know what I mean, to build on top of no more.
Wow.
They're just wasting away. You know, I know you've seen Sharon Osbourne's face. She was
I've been seeing all the stuff.
Ghastly.
Yeah,
a lot of people looking ghastly.
Ozempic. Yes.
You know, the Ozempic face.
Oprah, her arms, her skin.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's just
flappy.
flat because, and then, you know, if you already were not actively working towards being healthy physically, you know, resistance exercise, calisthenics, whatever it is you decide you were going to be doing, then what makes you think you're going to do it now when I can eat 2 whole pizzas and not worrying about it getting on me, right?
Wow. Yeah.
I saw one of these stories on, I think it was NBC, and they were following a girl who was in high school, who was like big all her life through school, and she took it, and she's able to be a cheerleader now. So the first shot they showed of her eating with her friends was 2-3 boxes of pizzas. They pulling out, eating that.
Still at it.
So they you know, they're gonna tell you, oh man, make sure that you have to change your lifestyle with this. But we know how people are. You can suggest all you want to them, but they're not going to do it because it's like, yo, I couldn't eat this, that, and the third because I would gain all this cellulite, all this weight and everything like that if I ate this way. Now, if I could just shoot this up and I don't, right? So that's where all that's coming from. The other reason why you're having this problem is because they say, make sure that you increase your protein intake while this happens, right? Which they shouldn't even have to say that if it ain't eating up the muscle, right? The problem is this. If the goal of this medication is to shut digestion down, but then you say, oh, make sure you increase your protein. How you going to get the protein in you if your body ain't digested nothing? I want to know the answer. Please riddle me that.
Too, especially with all that protein.
No, you're not going to get stopped up. You're going to throw up.
Because it can't even go down.
It can't go down. You can't break none of it down.
So it's pointless.
You're just going to vomit. You know? So now you got this bulimic, almost anorexic byproduct that's occurring because of this drug. But I'm like, okay, yeah, you telling people, oh, make sure you get your protein in and you get your balanced diet in. But if a person don't got no appetite,
how can I do that?
If they don't have the hydrochloric acid to burn, if the pyloric sphincter isn't opening up, if it's not emptying into the small intestines to break this food down, how? You know, so that's where all the saggy materials coming from.
Yes. Yo, that is crazy, right? So saggy skin, that's a crazy factor. But the bones as well. How does this affect bone structure, all of those other factors as well?
All right. So this is a connection with the thyroid issue. Okay. So before I mentioned the Gila monster, right? The Gila monster only eats 4 times a year.
Yeah. Yep.
So obviously you could connect it together and say, oh man, my digestion is turning into the digestion of a Gila monster.
4 times a year.
Right. Where I don't really want to, I don't need to eat because it's coming from this sluggish animal. Right.
Wow.
But that ain't the half of it. This animal produces GLP-1 because it hibernates.
I see.
It hibernates between November and March. Okay. That's 5 months.
Yeah.
That's almost half a year.
That's right. That's right.
It's out of commission.
Missing the holidays, everything. And you wake up in the springtime.
Basal, we're talking basal rate. We're talking about the only necessary amount of stuff to happen to keep the Gila monster alive. That's it.
Wow.
That's what you taking.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
So, do we hibernate?
No.
We sleep.
Yeah.
But we ain't
sleep
out of
more
commission.
During the winter, but not hibernate. Nah.
2 months.
Let alone
5, almost half a year. Sleep.
Getting out to bed 5 months later. Yeah.
So this drug is designed to turn your metabolism into a hibernating creature through your parasympathetic. Okay, so we have the autonomic nervous system. When you hear the word autonomic, that means automatic. You don't have to think to breathe. You don't have to remind your heart to beat. It does it automatically. The autonomic nervous system has 2 branches. You have sympathetic and parasympathetic. Sympathetic is fight or flight. Okay? I'm in danger for my life. I have to survive. I either have to stand my ground and fight to defend myself and survive, or I need to run like Sonic the Hedgehog. I need to get up out this thing. Either way it goes, your blood needs to be in your arms, in your legs, lungs, and heart. Right?
Yeah.
Now, parasympathetic is called rest and digest because as I consume my food, I need to be still. This is why you sit around a table with people and you eat so that you're not using your arms and your legs and all these other things, because then the blood that you would use to digest your food to carry nutrients are in your arms and your legs and you can't break nothing down.
Wow.
So your vagus nerve, which is a nerve that goes from your medulla oblongata in your brain all the way through the organs and down into the abdomen. This is like the longest nerve fibers in the body. They call it nerve X because it's the 10th cranial nerve, X, Roman numeral X. This is what governs your digestive system, and it connects the gut to your brain. GLP-1 agonist, this venom binds to that, and it's really holding it it's like in a stranglehold, manipulating it in order to get these particular results.
Wow.
Now, we got the parasympathetic and the sympathetic. We got the hibernation I was just talking about. Thyroid hormones are based upon light cycles with the palm seed, the seasons. So hibernation is going to truly affect that.
That's right.
Along with T3 and T4, which are two other thyroid hormones, is calcitonin, which governs calcium balance. Parathyroid hormone and calcitonin in the thyroid govern the rise of calcium in the blood and the lowering of calcium in the blood. When the calcium levels get low in the blood, then what happens is these cells start to break your bone down and release calcium ions in the bloodstream to make it alkaline. When the blood is acidic, that's what it does to raise that thing up. Okay. Wow. If there's too much calcium in the bloodstream, then it's going to take that calcium, is going to deposit it into the bone. But what's happening with this weight loss is it's causing the calcitonin, the thyroid hormone, to utilize all of this calcium and pull all this calcium out. So as you defecate and as you urinate, you're urinating and defecating all of this calcium out of your body, because that's part of the weight that you're losing. Wow. Not just the muscle. It's also the bone. Wow.
Ozempic, man, this thing is really effing some people up.
It's terrible. It's terrible. Your thyroid gland produces T3 and T4, and you actually have what you would call extranodal thyroid places, meaning you got many thyroid glands over the body. So if the demand is high enough, it'll start to pull from these other areas. Wow. And this is where the thyroid cancer comes into play, because Ozempic has something called a black box warning. Black box warning means, yo, pay attention to this. And the black box warning states that they did an experiment a couple years ago with some rodents, with some mice. And through giving them the Ozempic, they developed thyroid cancer. Jeez. But their argument for it is, it hasn't been found in humans yet.
Yet. Yeah.
Right. But if you're manipulating the thyroid gland, if you're manipulating POMC, if you're manipulating all of these light transmitting hormones and centers inside of the body, then you're manipulating the thyroid gland. And what you're doing is you are pulling from your 401k. You're pulling from your pension so that you can go to Jamaica.
Store it up.
So that you can put some fly pictures on Instagram. And then when you're old and gray,
there's nothing left.
And your kids don't love you no more.
You need that 401k.
And your wife done left you.
Need them savings.
You done exacerbated all those funds to be fly and cool and cute when you was younger. And that's what's happening. We're pulling. What are they? Robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Yeah.
Hey, that's the saying right there. Wow. Insulin. You know, when it comes to diabetes, you always hear about insulin. What's insulin's relationship with Ozempic?
Okay.
How is that impacted by the product and the drug?
Well, the problem with diabetics is the fact that either through autoimmune issues of their beta cells getting destroyed, right? This is where the insulin is produced. So if they're destroyed, then you're not making enough insulin. So the signal's not strong enough to tell your cells to let sugar inside, right? So that's similar to having a phone and your phone signal's not strong enough, so you can't send the text.
It's useless.
It
almost.
Doesn't go.
Yeah.
You can write it up. You can hit send, but it doesn't go.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Then the other side of it is beta cells are good. Insulin's being produced. But the cells that are there to receive the signal, their receptors are down. And that would be synonymous to an antenna from a radio station and a radio in your house. So the radio station's fine. The antenna's good. They sending out the broadcast and it's going through the air, right? But your radio doesn't work, or the antenna's broken, the receptor to receive that signal is broken. So not like us is playing.
You just can't hear it.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You just can't hear it on the radio because the receptor's down. So that's type 1 and type 2 diabetes right there.
Yeah,
all right. So how insulin plays the role is insulin is the signal. It's the signal to tell the cell to let sugar in. If sugar floods in the cell, it's not in the bloodstream, so you don't have high blood sugar. So this is for hypoglycemia. This is for lowering blood sugar because the GLP-1 is going to tell the insulin to release, and it's going to help bring sugar into the cell. Then on top of that, you're not eating as much. So you're not going to have no spikes. And the gastric emptying slows down, meaning the stomach is only letting things out at a certain rate. And we hear this about low glycemic foods, meaning the foods that you eat, they don't cause a spike in blood sugar because the stomach is releasing it in the small intestines little by little. This is what made Nessu nectar so good.
Talk about it, yes,
right?
sir. Yeah,
because the honey of Nessu nectar, is it takes 3 times longer for it to dump into the intestines. You know, so it helps. You know, in regards to lowering the glycemic index. You know, and making sure that your blood level doesn't spike. I have a lot of people who've had diabetes whose blood sugar dropped enormously taking that honey.
Yes, sir.
You know, which is a natural thing that comes from, you know, nature, not extracted from the venom from a lizard. You know what I'm saying? And it's funny, you know, I spoke about COVID before, this being a byproduct of COVID-19, because COVID-19 was based on venom too.
How so, Casey? Snake
venom.
Sheesh.
Snake venom. They said that the COVID-19, the coronavirus was entering through the ACE receptors in the lungs, right? This is angiotensin converting enzyme, right? ACE inhibitors were created from snake venom.
Wow.
Okay? Captopril, lisinopril, all of the prils are ACE inhibitors. They were all sourced from a Brazilian viper.
This is so interesting. Wow.
And the spike protein is snake venom.
Wow.
And the way that you know that is something as simple as putting it up against nicotine, because snake venom binds to your nicotine receptors, right? If you take nicotine, the nicotine has a stronger affinity for those receptors. It'll release the spike protein and drop it out. This is why Biden and Fauci was talking about decreasing the tobacco production in the country.
Wow.
And trying to drop the number of nicotine available to everybody. Connected.
Wow.
Yep. So, and they said it in the beginning of the pandemic that before they talked about the bats and everything, there's articles. Matter of fact, there is a couple papers out now, one in particular, where they found over 20 different snake venoms in COVID patients in their stool and their urine.
What?
Who's eating snakes? You know what I mean?
For sure.
But if you look at the medical industry, what's their logo?
It's the serpent.
Yes.
The yeah.
Because it ties back to Asclepius.
Yeah.
So snakes are a double-sided coin.
Jeez, how you cooking right now?
That provides both benefit as well as detriment.
Yep.
And you can use a snake to kill, and you could, or unalive. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Hey, look, TikTok biology now. Yeah, we gotta start that.
You use it to unalive, or you could use it to help and assist, right?
Yeah,
because I'm not going to knock our indigenous people not using snake medicines going back, you know, thousands and thousands of years.
Yeah.
But they're studying it to use it to hurt people, you know? And y'all people could look this study up. Only thing they got to type in is different snake venoms found in COVID-19 patients. You know, and when you use The first thing that was helping all of the COVID-19 people was called monoclonal antibodies. Do you know what a monoclonal antibody is?
I know mono was one, so break it down for me, KT.
Monoclonal antibodies are sourced from pigs and horses.
Oh,
and
that's
the reason why they're sourced from
see.
pigs and horses because they take the snake, have the snake bite the horse or the pig. The pig creates natural antibodies from the venom, and then they pull that antibody out, and that's what they were using. So why is snake antidote the cure for COVID-19? I'll wait.
This is crazy. All right, KT. So why venom, right? When we see it with Ozempic, when we see it with the vid, right? Why is snake venom always in the center of that equation?
Because we've been asking Western medicine to do something for a long time, and they said, okay, we'll do it. And that is, why y'all got to be so artificial and synthetic? Why don't you be more natural? Why don't you use the things from Mother Nature? So they was like, yeah, we're going to use some from Mother Nature.
Keep using those drums. Like
right.
Okay, bet.
I want people to go and watch. You ever seen a show called Blacklist?
Oh, I love the Blacklist. Raymond Reddington. He's the man.
You watched all of them?
Yeah.
Okay. Season 5, episode 14, The Apothecary. You remember when Reddington got sick?
Oh, yeah.
Why he got sick?
Deathbed, basically.
Why? What did his whiskey, what did they put in his whiskey?
Snake venom, huh?
Snake venom.
And that's his show, by the way.
Not just any snake venom, specifically crate, which is the snake that they talked about in the beginning of COVID. It was the Chinese cobra and the crate.
Crazy. Wow.
And this episode was in 2017.
Yeah. The Blacklist, they've been at it for a minute. Yeah.
Now remember, when he kidnapped a black woman and they went in like the drugstore and wanted her to get certain drugs to help with the issue that he had, and the two things he was asking the woman to get was the things that they were outlawing during COVID.
Wow. Back in 2017.
You could see all of that in that episode.
You cooking up, KT.
All of that in that episode.
This is good.
You know? What else? So it's not just nicotine that's responsible for assisting with these venoms. A lot of the herbs that help people during this are the same herbs that help with snake bite. Because they have secondary plant metabolites, these specific molecules that plug into these receptors and have similar effects. So that's how these people were overcoming it, you know. Ivermectin, which was beneficial during COVID. Remember, that helps with parasites and worms.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? So obviously there was something, we were poisoned. All right. Between snake venom and radiation, you know, and this is so then this is for the naysayers, because then people are going to be like, okay, so then what about the kids? And the animals, because the kids wasn't getting COVID. And the animals wasn't sick. Right? What protected them? Do you know one of the most strongest antidotes for snake venom above nicotine?
What's that?
Melatonin.
Always goes back to the melanin.
Goes back to the light story every single time. Wow. Who sleeps more than kids? Who got more melatonin than children? Children's melatonin are 3-4 times more than us. Wow. Animals too, because they be sleep.
They take naps.
They take naps. They be sleeping, dogs and their circadian rhythm is on point.
Dang, KT, that's good. Yeah.
So they got melatonin on their side. So they didn't have to deal. The venom wasn't affecting them like it was affecting us.
And as adults, we're always up, moving around, burning out. You're on fumes.
Moving around, getting
low immune system.
I'm talking about if people just look into. Matter of fact, I'll say this part too. Novo Nordisk, right? Which means new north, the new north. their symbol is Apis, which is a deity from Kemet, but also Greek mythology. And this Greek mythological person was responsible for utilizing snakes on the people.
Wow.
So a lot of these companies are using snake venom and the venoms of other animals. That's actually the new hustle. The new hustle is mad dashing for toxic animals with venoms and taking the venoms and synthesizing the venoms and using them in all of these medications.
On that same standpoint, right, in the Bible, you got Moses, right, when God had snakes coming from the sky and they were biting people and he had to put it on a stick, on a pole. That's
what's going on. We're in it right now.
Wow.
We're in it right now. And if you notice with the caduceus, it's two intertwining because it's a positive and it's a negative side. It's all how you use it. You know, Novo Nordisk is taking all the money that they've made, and guess what they're investing in?
What?
An AI supercomputer. Because the new science is in silico. You had in vitro and in vivo, right? In vitro is when outside the body, set in the petri. In vivo's in the body, right? In silico, what do you think that is? The computer.
That? Yeah.
So with AI, you can input the protein dynamics of a receptor, right? And all that type of stuff. And the AI will
recreate that process.
The medication.
Yeah, I see.
The molecule. This is the molecule. The hydrogen needs to go here. The nitrogen needs to go here. You need to rotate it.
And they're already 10 steps ahead right now. Wow.
They're using the computer to make their medications for everybody now. And they're studying the snake to do it. Because, you know.
Studying nature to replicate and do that through AI.
That's who gave Eve the apple in the first place.
Yeah, it always goes back to the serpent.
Yeah.
The serpent is always a very integral figure, man.
Gotta tempt us, man, you know, and between snake venom and Apple computers.
The snake and the apple. Come on now. You cooking up right now.
We dealing with some things right now. So yeah, man. So we have the thyroid cancer. We have the Ozempic face, Ozempic butt, Ozempic skin. We have the gastroparesis. We have pancreatitis. We have kidney disorder, liver disorder. We have loss of muscle and bone.
Jesus. Yeah.
You know, and we have the fact, and they even admitted this, that the medication is an indefinite medication. You have to take it forever.
That was going to be my question. Come on, KT.
Here we go.
Back to the dope, man, right? Once I got you hooked, you my customer.
You my
forever,
customer.
Right? Ozempic. My next question, you already answered that, right? Shelf life wise, if I started taking it, I would have to continuously keep taking that product, correct?
$1,400 a month because, like I said, it has a half-life, right, of a week. So after a week, it don't work like that no more. And on top of that, it's going to be worse every single time. See, they're not saying that part.
Wow.
So you lose 20 pounds, you keep that 20 pounds off. You stop using it, you gain 22 pounds back, 23 pounds back.
Wow.
You lose 50, you gain 60.
So then naturally I'm gonna be like, yo, I gotta lose this weight. And then how do I know how to lose it fast and efficiently? It's through Ozempic. Wow.
And they have to take it every week because that's what it's designed to do. It's designed to do it for that period of time. And then they're also banking on people not changing their lifestyle. You see? Because that's what the doctors are saying. They're like, oh, you have to do this and keep a healthy lifestyle.
It's that and part that they're not paying attention to.
And it's like, if it's about a healthy lifestyle, you could do that off the rip. You know what I'm saying? Oh, no, they just need a little boost. You know what I'm saying? Once they lose that 25 to 30 pound, they're inspired. Okay, they're inspired, but they don't got no appetite.
Come on, man.
They don't got no appetite to eat. How are they getting nutrients? How they know the exact amount of food to eat? Because remember, you are hibernating, but yet your body is acting active.
That's right.
So what do you think is going on in your brain and your
mixed signals? Yeah.
You crossing streams like Ghostbusters.
I'm supposed to be still right now, but I'm still moving around.
Exactly.
Messing up with the 401k to your point.
Exactly. So, yeah, man. I suggest that people look more into low glycemic foods. I developed a formula that I'm gonna be dropping real soon.
Let's go.
That deals with the inhibition of the DPP4 enzyme, low glycemic index, you know what I mean, and will help people lose weight. One of the greatest molecules that you find in herbs that will help actually is berberine. And you find that in a lot of the herbs that have a yellow dye in them, like Oregon grapefruit. And berberine is a natural form of getting your weight in order, you know, and you can do this by consuming foods that have berberine in there. They have berberine isolated too. I say take the herb because it's going to come with a lot of other components too. But, you know, you want to get your, if Ozempic is based on manipulating these hypothalamic sensors, these sensors in your brain where your hypothalamus is. You got something called the arcuate nucleus where you have POMC cart, and if it's manipulating these areas, and these are the same areas that are directly affected through sun gazing and grounding, then that means what they're actually doing is they're hijacking your light pathways.
Wow.
They're hijacking your photo pathways. All right. And now sitting in front of a computer and being under artificial light is enough. Now you're injecting artificial light
of you now.
Inside your bloodstream. Right. So then it should let you know, okay, maybe I should step outside. Let me ground.
Yes, sir.
Let me sun gaze. Let me see when the sun's coming up. Let me see when the sun's going down. Let me look into these seasons. Let me eat these foods that are related to these seasons, you know, because those are the things that's going to get your body in working order again, and you'll start bleeding all of that off. But people say, oh man, I've been trying to lose weight, but it ain't going nowhere. But yeah, you up snacking. You know what I'm saying? You up snacking.
That's real.
You drinking.
Yep.
That's not real food.
You're not sleeping right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're not cooking your food. You going out and you eating this and you eating that. All of those things are going to affect your body. You have to get your circadian rhythm in order.
Yes,
you got to get your light in order.
Yep.
And then you have to eat real foods and stay hydrated. Your vitamin D need to be right. Your melatonin need to be right. You need to get selenium in for your glutathione. All of these things are necessary.
Come on.
If you are not doing these things, then yeah, you're going to look for a shortcut, and shortcuts, they just never pan out well.
Oh, no. Loving this conversation, KT. Body dysmorphia, right? Our Black women especially suffer from that.
Yes.
Because on social media, on Instagram, those girls who they're following, 9 times out of 10, those pictures are already edited. But instead, that girl who's following them is like, I got to look like her. So then I try to get on that pill. Our Black women, how can they try to just overcome body dysmorphia sometimes when everything on social media and TV is telling you take that shortcut?
Get off social media, man, because that's
that simple.
That's what it is. So remember we spoke about this in a previous interview we did together with Instagram being Instagram, right?
Yeah.
So we know it's affecting your dopamine levels and your dopamine receptors and your pathways. And that's your reward hormone. So you're losing motivation, and your motivation is coming from not wanting to do natural things for yourself, but to look like this person. I want to look like her. I want to look like this one. I want my hair to be this way. I want my body to be this way. I want to look like this and look like that.
It's like Build-A-Bear almost.
Right. You're actually losing your identity. You're losing your identity and you're wanting to become somebody else.
Wow.
You know, it's almost like Get Out reversed. You know what I'm saying? So I would say, you know, you need to limit your time on social media and stop comparing yourself to other people. Every woman has their own beauty, you know, and the stereotypical Fashion Nova model, Beyonce or Kim Kardashian, because these are all the body types that everybody's going after, right? They're not realistic. Every woman doesn't look like that. And I've seen women that don't have a voluptuous body, but they have a beautiful face, or they have beautiful eyes, or they have beautiful hair, or they have a beautiful energy, you know, and those are the things that you need to cultivate and to work on. So we all have, you know, a body mass index, a ratio, you know, with the amount of fat on our body. Find out what yours is. You know, women are supposed to have more fat on their body than men naturally because they give birth to children. But utilize that, you know, and just be the most beautiful person you are. You know, find out what colors complement your skin tone and your eyes. Find out, you know, what gemstones, what crystals, what jewelry. You're a silver person, you're a gold person. You know, do your hair in different ways. Go travel. Go to beautiful places and meet beautiful people, because they're going to impress upon you when you meet all of these different nations. You know, educate yourself, because the more you're in the know and the more you have an understanding of certain things, the more beautiful and confident you feel inside.
That's right.
So, you know, beauty ain't just a shell, you know, because what's the use of a fruit that looks like a strawberry, but it don't smell like a strawberry. It don't taste like a strawberry. It ain't juicy like a strawberry. Like, what's the point? You know, you wanna be beautiful to the depth of your core, all the way to the surface, and all around.
Hey, that's good talk right there. Our fellas too, man. So we ain't gotta be BBL drizzies
No,
out here. Like, how can we get sculpted without having to do Ozempic and things? Same thing.
So stop comparing yourself to other men. You know, inspiration is cool. You see somebody who's bettering themselves and that motivates you to do better for yourself. Do that. Find out what's good for you. It could be martial arts. It could be calisthenics. It could be resistant exercising. It could be long distance running. You know what I mean? It could be different things that trigger you. You know, I found a great way of exercising is rebounding with a trampoline.
Wow.
Because plyometrics, calisthenics is one of the most successful ways to really develop muscle, because you're using your own weight. But the only issue there is it's a hard stop. But with rebounding, it's not. It's a recoil. And life, you saw the Terrence Howard interview when he was talking about the breath, right? We always talking about the inhale and not the exhale, or the exhale and not the inhale. You can't talk about the expansion of the universe without talking about the contraction of the universe. You know, so rebounding is going to be very healthy to somebody, because not only are you bouncing up, but you're coming back down and going up and coming back down, and that's opening up your lymphatics. That's what's it called? Twitching your muscle in a whole different manner when you do that. You know, because when you look at gymnasts, like they fit, and you notice they're rebounding all the time, because they're on like a trampoline floor. You know,
that's a great point.
So I would say rebound. I would say infrared. I would say saunas. You know, I would say walking, hiking, jogging, grounding. You know, and for men and women, have sex, because it burns mad calories.
Wow. Yeah, it gets the heart rate up.
You get the heart. You producing all types of chemicals. You know what I mean? You connecting with somebody. You know what I mean? That's something to do as well. But we just have to reconnect. You know what I mean? And this whole GLP-1 thing is just another way to disconnect us. It's another 6 feet apart. It's another lockdown. You know what I mean? And you know, I hope people are getting good information from this. I'm not trying to change nobody's mind, just trying to provide them with some information.
Trying to make them think.
I don't think you knew you was sticking venom up in your bloodstream. You know what I'm saying? Or putting venom in your high school kid that was overweight, you know?
KT, man, we have so many black people, especially, right, who are diabetic, especially here in the South, right, where they got the soul food and you got all the grease, all of that stuff. For a person who could be tuned in who is diabetic, if they've been prescribed Ozempic, what alternatives should they possibly try out instead of that product?
Yeah, so like the berberine, stinging nettle, baobab powder, what else? Yellow dock and all of the herbs that Sabi was always talking about, the blue vervains, you know, what else? Low glycemic foods high in vitamin C, you know, would be real good. Gooseberry, you know, what else? Berries. Oh man, berries, melons, cherries, greens. Any time that somebody has a sweet tooth and wants to eat a lot of sugar,
I need this. Yeah, talk to me.
green leafy vegetables.
Okay.
Go for the green leafy vegetable. That offsets the sugar thing.
I got to try that thing.
Because usually when you have a craving, it's because you need something opposite. Remember, and Terrence Howard was talking about that with the beryllium and the oxygen, right? They can't. As long as if oxygen is bound to anything else, beryllium shows up. It's getting with that because it has a stronger affinity. You know what I mean? And things are coupled. You know, so we have coupled things in regards to our diet as well. So whenever you have a sweet tooth, eat some vegetables, eat some collard greens. Eat some salad, drink some green juice, you know, eat some seaweeds that got chlorophyll, get that chlorophyll in and that fiber in, and that sugar will taper off.
There we go.
Yeah.
Got you. Novo Nordisk, man, to your point about them utilizing AI, where do you see the future of this medical industry and AI as a couple?
I see a fusion taking place between the natural way of doing things and where they're going, because as beastly, as diabolical as a lot of these companies are, they don't know that they're actually working fervently towards being against their own goals. Artificial intelligence is based on human intelligence.
Exactly.
Based on divine intelligence. And in it's not going to go in the direction of detriment like they think. I mean, we're in the beginning stages now, and yeah, it's kind of like night and day, but eventually it's going to end up kind of creating a singularity and a crossover where, like, when you see with Wakanda, they use technology in accordance with nature, though.
That's right.
And that's where I feel we're headed as a people, is we're going to end up, because we're the highest technology. Technology is not a bad term. It's just we use the wrong frequencies. We use the wrong materials.
Sometimes it's the wrong people prompting
the wrong people behind it. We use it for the wrong things. But I think all of that is going to end up changing. You cannot gain further intelligence without compassion being involved. Wow. And if compassion is going to develop at the same rate that intelligence is going to develop, then, you know, we're in for an awakening. Jeez. That could be beneficial.
Wow. Man, I enjoyed this conversation, KT. Earlier, man, at the very beginning, you set a bar about the process. Why should we enjoy the process? Because in life right now, everybody's trying to exclude the process, about whether that comes towards losing weight with Ozempic or just from trying to skip steps, like you said, with money. Why should we enjoy the process and the trials and the tribulations, ebbs and flows, and not just try to overcome that easily?
That's a great question. That's because our development comes from hardship. You know, as from a male perspective,
for sure,
we become a greater version of ourselves when we go through things. If we live a soft life, like we just saw,
life,
that's what I'm saying. We just saw the difference with this rap war that just happened. why did K dot rise
it came from that
to the
environment.
top? You know, exactly. While somebody else who deals with that soft life, there's just he can never come out with a not like us.
He can't face that adversity.
He can't.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a sound, a tone, a neighborhood, a people, a culture to create an anthem.
He ain't built like that, KT. Basically.
Right. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we have to have we have to go through difficulties and hardships. You're not gonna have a sharp knife without that friction of sharpening that blade up. So if you truly want to become greater and become better, you have to put yourself through things in order. And the more that you polish those hardships, the less sharp you're going to become. You're going to be a very dull blade.
This was great, KT. On the way out, man, why should people who might be on Ozempic or just even thinking about it, right? Why should they not indulge into this product, into this drug?
I would tell people to stay away from this drug because the side effects are greatly outweigh the positive results that people are documenting right now. It hasn't been on the market long enough to see the long-term effects of the side effects yet. If we're 5 years in with this thing, 4 to 5 years in with this thing of the GLP-1 agonist, and we already are having these issues within 5 years, what's 10 years? What's 15 years? What's 20 years of this?
You're gonna start seeing those commercials late at night. Were you on Ozempic?
That's what I'm saying. You're gonna have what 10, 12-year-olds slinging Ozempic pens in the school.
That's a good perspective. I didn't even think about that.
You know what I'm saying? She wants to be a cheerleader. You telling me she ain't about to start popping the pen in the bathroom? You know? And we just have to this is how simple it is. We have to stop being so damn lazy. This is just another product to allow us to continue to be lazy as shit.
It's a microcosm of our society.
Yes.
Yeah.
Stop being obesity is a byproduct of being lazy. I have not seen anybody who is overtly, consistently active and be obese at the same time.
It's impossible.
It just doesn't exist. You know, so be more. We're here to your body. The design of your body is not to look good in a dress or to look good in some clothing. The design of your body is for dynamic movement. That's what it's for. So we need to move more. Be more in motion. Move your body. Kinetic. Get around. Do things. Be kinetic. Exactly. You know. So that's what I would tell people. There's so many other options out here other than Ozempic. There's so many other ways to lose weight. You are essentially starving your soul, and you're changing the circuitry and the wiring of the deep recesses of the brain. The circumventricular areas of the brain. These are the areas where the brain ventricles exist and the cerebral spinal fluid is pumped. These specialized organs are all getting rewired, damaged, destroyed. And you don't know what else is inside that shot other than the GLP-1. So I'll end it on this note. They finally came forth and apologized for forcing everybody to take that jab, right?
Yeah.
They were wrong.
4 years later.
They're wrong, and they apologized because they forced everybody to do it. And the reason why they apologized because they figured out,
I got another play.
We don't have to force them to take it. We just have to make it in a form that they wanted themselves.
Inadvertently force.
So if you don't think this is the 2.0, you need to go back to grade school, baby.
Ooh, KT cooking. So I got to ask you this thing, KT, right? Because I was just thinking on that same wavelength, right? Of it's so diabolical, but like so genius, right? Because the first time I'm forcing you, okay, everybody's starting to smarten up.
Mm-hmm.
However, everybody's weak because everybody's vain. Everybody wants to look like something.
That's right.
So now I'm going to get your most famous influencer on the same product. So then you want to look like them. What correlation do you see between that jab and the jab 2.0 Ozempic right now?
I would say, who was G.I. Joe's enemy?
It was the Cobra.
Cobra.
This goes back to the serpent.
Cobra Commander.
Yeah.
What was his man? What he look like?
He had like the black.
He just had.
Yeah.
He was faceless.
Couldn't see his face. It was black. Yeah.
He was.
He had the helmet.
He was faceless.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Trying to be everybody and being. How vain can you be?
And it goes back to the serpent again too. Jesus, man. KT, hey, I think
G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
Yo, Joe.
KT, bro, I'm telling you, man, in the comments, they will confirm this, bro. This was one of them ones, like, for real.
Oh, yeah. We had to give it to him. It's always
Jesus,
more.
Man.
It's always more to unpack, but that's enough for them to get a nice little appetizer. You know what I mean? Man, got people cyclic vomiting out here, bro. Just throwing up. Years later. Still throwing up.
Still got the side effects from one bad decision from earlier. And the snake always goes after
and their
vein.
weight came back.
And the weight came back. So you should have just done what you were supposed to do the first time.
Man, let me tell you.
You started it off with the serpent and you just ended it with the serpent with G.I. Joe.
We call that the Ouroboros. The snake eating its own tail.
Yes. And it did it within this conversation. Don't let that go over your head, y'all. Y'all, KT is a legend, man. Make sure that y'all tap in. I'm about to get some Nasu Nectar again. I told Zay about it. He already knew about it too.
It's on sale right now too.
Hey,
we got a sale on the site going on right now.
Yeah.
You know, we'll have the link in the description and everything like that. But definitely got alternatives.
Yeah.
On the site right now. The vitamin, get that vitamin D. That's gonna help you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Get that Geefy tea. That's gonna help you.
Yeah.
The Nasu Nectar is definitely gonna help you a great deal. Oh yeah.
Use that in the foods.
And then the purple sea moss, man. You can't go wrong with that.
The sea moss was crazy
Ain't no thyroid hormones without iodine.
Yeah.
Iodine is all up in the sea vegetables.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And as well, KT, all the fellas, right? Cameron recently, he went viral, all taking the horsepower, da-da-da-da-da.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Now, what do you have for us that's actually way better?
And
for
it's
all
funny,
the fellas
I was
out
in
there?
a car and I was like, oh,
Before
I left it at home because
you
know I always, right.
My
man Cam, boy,
he said,
never.
before I get some cheeks. So,
he
KT,
never
all the fellas,
disappoints.
man, before they indulge and do, those manly duties, right? What should we take from you opposed to taking the manufactured stuff?
I have a product that I developed called Tekanu with 14 herbs. I did 14 herbs because in the lore of Asur and Aset, the story of Asur and Aset, or Osiris and Isis, however you refer to them, when Set defeated Asur, he chopped them up in 14 pieces and spread them all over the world. And the one piece that wasn't recovered was his phallus, which became the obelisk, the Washington Monument, Cleopatra's Needle. But the ancient name for it is called Tekanu, which is where the term technology comes from. Yeah, because Anu is the sky god, right? And the tech is pointing straight to it, right? Fifth element. So I put together 14 herbs that are suspended in the Nasu Nectar to assist the men with their testosterone levels, erectile dysfunction, premature ejaculation, erections, libido, virility, just all around. And I'm getting great testimonies back, and I guarantee you I'm sending you your jar. I meant to bring you one day.
Somebody gets pregnant, I'm blaming you kids.
Please do. Please do. I'll bring more life in the world.
He's the godfather, man. And bro, all the ladies as well. What can they say?
Well, they can take the Tekanu too, because what these herbs do is they're gonna assimilate with inside of the natural hormones with inside of the body. So for a woman, it's gonna help her. And believe it or not, what makes women more sexually aggressive is testosterone.
Yeah, hey, it turns me on.
Yeah. So it ain't gonna do it where they're gonna be aggressive and start, put a do-rag on and nothing like that, some J's, they ain't gonna do it like that, but it's definitely gonna get them in the mood. Sure. But what I have for them right now is the Nessuit Nectar jar. If they put that in their vagina, it's not only going to cleanse and tone and everything like that, it's also going to help with their hormones and their reproductive system.
Interesting stuff, man. KT, listen, every single session, I always got to give you all your flowers. Hey, thank you for all that you do, bro. You're just amazing in your space, in your role. You're like our George Washington Carver at this time, man. You're always finding out new things, pushing the boundaries, bro. So, thank you. Bro, I salute you, man, 10 times over. So, man, you already know, every single time, hit me up.
I'll be back,
bro. It's an honor, man. Y'all, Ozempic, KT, he already gave y'all all the keys, man. Tap in, comment, go to his website, buy the products, all that good stuff, man. Shout out to Sid, Zay, the entire team. Y'all, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, peace.
Peace.
KT, man, thank you for that, bro. That was fire.